All right, so let's get started. Hello, everybody. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are today. Uh, First of all, a very warm welcome to all of you, and thank you very much for attending today's webinar as part of the Edgematics Data and Analytics webinar series. My name is Rahil Khan, and I'm the VP for Sales and Strategy for Edgematics and your host for today's session. With me joining in is Dr. Alexei Sidorov, who is a data management director and chief evangelist at Denodo. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with him, we always say that Alexei was born with the passion for data programmed in his DNA. So he's truly a data guru, and you'll hear him firsthand today. He surely had an exotic career spanning around 27 years in the data world. He worked with leading technology companies like Informatica, Teradata, and giants like Nokia, Deutsche Bank, before joining Denodo. So today we'll be talking about how using data virtualization technology, you can securely access your data through a single virtual layer and build a 360-degree view of your customer or other domains such as products, suppliers in a matter of weeks. Yeah. So a couple of things before we get started. This webinar is being recorded and will be made available for on-demand viewing afterwards. Also, you're all on listening only mode. However, we will make time at the end of the session for questions. So feel free to submit your questions at any time during the session in the chat window, and we will hopefully answer those questions towards the end of the session. With that, let's look at what we have for today. So we will be starting by briefly introducing Edgematics, who we are, what we do. Then we will quickly introduce the concept of data virtualization and the Denodo platform, followed by live demo on the latest release of Denodo, and obviously with the customer 360 use case, followed by key takeaways. Finally, we'll talk about the exclusive offer that we have on the table for all the attendees of today's webinar. And then we'll open the floor for answering the questions in the Q&A session. Right, so let me now quickly introduce Edgematics to you. Edgematics is a niche and focused all-in data company. So this is what we do for our living. Everything that we do for our living is data. Our aim has always been to become a trusted data monetization partner for our customers. And the way we achieve this is we define quick wins. We help companies achieve quick wins by finding the right solutions, defining the right strategies across your data governance approach, as well as data management initiatives. And then on top of that, we package our matured services framework so that you can get maximum value for your investment. We have been supporting our customers in their digital transformation and change management journeys over a number of years. And as I said, the way we do it is through our AI-enabled frameworks that we have built with an ultimate goal to maximize the return on our customers' data assets and ultimately driving success. So what makes us truly unique is our focus and experience in delivering some very niche and complex data projects. We've been in the market for more than 10 years now and have been consistently growing year over year. Our team has a combined experience of 100 plus years in the data management world, and we have more than 100 customers across various verticals, as you can see on the slide, whom we have helped become data-driven enterprises. So surely we have been doing some good work past many years. And finally, I would like to mention that the success that we deliver at Edgematics is largely due to our strategic partnerships with world-leading data and analytics technology providers. And one of the key partners of Edgematics in the data world is Denodo, and we are very proud to be associated with them as a premium partner. Now, before I hand over to Alexei, I just wanted to quickly highlight some of our key customers across different verticals. As you can see, we have got customers across all the key verticals, including telco, retail, government, banking and finance, etc. And we surely hope to have you on this list one day. Now, with that, I would like to hand over to our speaker for today, Dr. Alexei Sidorov. Alexei, take it away.
Thank you so much, Rahil. Thank you so much for this nice introduction. And also, thank you everybody for joining. Good morning, good evening. We have many people joining from different parts of the world today. I would like also to thank you, our great partner in Middle East and the UK, Edgematics, for the chance to speak today about a very interesting topic. We are going to cover several kind of ways of how we traditionally build and how we traditionally address customer 360 initiatives. And also the main idea of this webinar is to showcase how we can use absolutely new approach that we call virtual data fabric to build the customer 360 dashboards and to execute this kind of a master data management projects, several times faster versus the traditional approach. I hope you will like it, because I prepared a quite interesting demo for you, how to use the Denodo data virtualization platform and quickly create a truly real-time customer 360 dashboards. And this is the agenda that I'm going to take us through today. First, I will just tell you about the concept of virtual data fabric that provided by Denodo. It basically was kind of invented by Denodo, if you wish, some 20 years ago. Then we will talk about the different styles of master data management and how a registry style of master data management that can be implemented with virtual data fabric differ from the other like MDM implementation style. We'll have a demo, and after that, after short key takeaways, we'll be open for questions. I'm sure you will have some. So let's start. Rahil, thank you so much. So let's first talk about the virtual data fabric. The idea of virtual data fabric is quite different from the approaches that we followed and was invented actually some 25, 30 years ago when we started doing business intelligence in the middle of 90s of the last century. We did it like in a kind of a data warehouse style. Then we invented data lakes, but still the data, we will copy and moving the data many times to provide a truly like abstraction layer and the real data for the initiatives like business intelligence and analytics. What's the difference of the virtual data fabric approach? We kind of try to model how the human brain works. It's a very simplified slide, actually, very simplified representation of the functioning of the human brain. But in a nutshell, what we do, right, we are getting the information in real time through many real-time channels like visual, spatial, verbal, audio, kinesthetical, and stuff like that. And as we get in those information in real time, our central executive system is combining that information and relating that information with something that we keep in our long-term memory, which kind of we can consider as a static data, right? And based on the combination of these two, we are able to execute some high-level activities that only can be done by a human being, like a planning, reasoning, and problem solving. With virtual data fabric, the concept of virtual data fabric is kind of a mimicking and modeling after the function of human brain. What we do, we are getting the data in real time from different kind of sources like sensors, IoT devices, like social networks, weblogs. Everything that is coming in real time is combined and related with the static data sitting in the different repositories that we have in the organization, like a traditional data warehouse, the Hadoop data lake, maybe some documents, some data will move to the cloud, most probably. In real time, virtual data fabric, without moving a single bit of data, we are combining those data and providing them in real time for the consumption by the traditional BI reporting, analytical tools, projects related to artificial intelligence and machine learning, data science, data marketplace, all those modern data projects can be executed much faster, much more efficiently if they have a virtual data fabric as the foundation for them. And some of these projects, they simply cannot be even finalized successfully utilizing the technology that was born in the last century. You cannot address the modern challenges that coming together with artificial intelligence and data science, data monetization, basing your approach on the technologies that we did like 25 years ago. I did a lot of data warehousing myself. I did a lot of data lakes myself as well. The virtual data fabric is something that is completely different. The next step is the evolution of data management, if you wish. Rahil, please, next slide. So if we talk about data warehouse, it was invented like in the middle of 19th century, and the data sitting in the data warehouse, they were very structured. They were very, I should say, they were kind of frozen. Our data were sitting there in a kind of a solid form. And we use the terminology even that would describing kind of a solid state of the matter. We spoke about the cubes, we spoke about the snowflakes. So our data was naturally ice. After some time, when the speed of data movement and the volumes of the data started growing, our data started melting as well. And data, at that time, we invented the concept of data lake. So basically, guys, here what I was talking about, if my voice was breaking, that our data at some point, they started melting. We turned the data from the cubes and snowflakes, we turned them into the data lakes and data swamps. As a next natural step in the data management evolution, we present in the virtual data fabric. What is the difference between those two like historical approaches and the virtual data fabric is that our data does not have a structure and the data does not have even certain volume anymore. Same as the gas, if you wish. So our data is still heating from inside and turning into the stem. Data fabric can present the data in any kind of a structure, in any kind of a model. And also the volume of the data that your query return you would never know that upfront. So that's the main difference of the approach of the virtual data fabric. If you click next, please, Rahil. If we take like a closer look into this concept and try to see what is inside the virtual data fabric, you can see that we have all those data repositories where the data sits in like a traditional relational databases, traditional MPP appliances like Teradata, Netezza, Exadata, that are built specifically for data warehousing. We have data in the NoSQL storage, like MongoDB, for example. We have data in some unstructured repositories based on Hadoop technology, most probably. We have a lot of documents, Excel spreadsheets. We have data sitting in the cloud applications and cloud data warehouses. Maybe you're using Snowflake or using Salesforce for that. And also a lot of very important data coming in real time from the sensors, from the IoT devices, from the weblogs. And those data, they needed for very complex and sophisticated projects now. It's not a simple consolidated reporting or simple descriptive analytics anymore. We need the data to run the data science project, to train the models for artificial intelligence, to issue the real-time alerts for mobile applications and some other applications. Maybe we're doing a predictive and prescriptive analytics, and even traditional business intelligence. We are switching to the agile BI mode right now. So what is the role of Virtual Data Fabric? Is the abstraction layer that decouples the consumption and all the data formats, data standards, the protocols that we have in our data sources. Virtual Data Fabric naturally connects to all of those data sources in real time, combines those data on the fly, and provides them for consumption for all of those projects and all of those like a business initiatives that we currently can see in every single organization. Next, please. So what we do with Virtual Data Fabric, what you're getting the universal layer of access to the unified data, with the data that has the unified data types, unified look and feel, if you wish. At the same time, inside of the Virtual Data Fabric, we are providing the end-to-end, very granular security. We can define who can see what data and who cannot. We can mask the data dynamically in real time also when the data are consumed. As well as we are providing the end-to-end metadata management capabilities and data governance inside of the Virtual Data Fabric platform. And I will show you our data catalog too, where you can see all the dependencies, the lineage, and so on. So traditional data management use cases that can be realized based on the Virtual Data Fabric approach, it's almost all the data management body of knowledge frameworks is covered here, right? You can build a logical data warehouse without moving data to the physical data warehouse. You can run the enterprise-wide data integration platforms and services utilizing Virtual Data Fabric. You can do data cleansing on fly, applying the data quality rules. I will show you how to do that during the demo. You can execute the master data management projects much faster, much cheaper, much more successful, I should say, because MDM projects doing like traditional way, they're usually taking years and millions of dollars, and the success rate is not really great for those projects. I will show you on the like a real example how you can do master data management based on the Virtual Data Fabric really quickly in the really easy way. You can do dynamic and the static data masking as a traditional use case for data management, but we are not limiting ourselves to this traditional data management use cases. We are also looking forward, and as many organizations currently are talking about the digital transformation, we are talking about the operational artificial intelligence that is actually inbuilt in our business processes, and specifically in the Gulf region. As you probably know, United Arab Emirates appointed the artificial intelligence minister some time ago. So AI is really taken very seriously on the government level, and many private organizations, they're also doing a lot of activities in terms of the machine learning and artificial intelligence. All those modern data management use cases can be addressed and based on the Virtual Data Fabric in a much better way than traditional physical data warehousing approaches and data lake approaches. And some of those initiatives like data as a service, like data marketplaces, data monetization, they cannot be really built on the traditional technologies because they do require the data in real time combined with the data coming from the static sources, and the requirements for real-time data consumption are really strong here. So let's talk a little bit about the master data management as one of the parts of the data management framework. What MDM is all about. So how we did that traditionally, how we built traditional MDM. We had a data sitting in a different data sources, like for example, well, for my demo, I took example, and some of your data sitting in your cloud CRM, like in Salesforce, some of the data sitting in your traditional or maybe legacy CRM that you have on premise, and they have the data in the Oracle database. Also, we have the data in the billing system for the customers, where all the like transactions are stored. And another system that we can be interested is, for example, the complaint database, like a Remedy, for example, or any other tool that where the customer can open the case, can put the complaint into. We have all those data sitting in a different repositories, and they are about the same customer, but they're not related to each other. The first step we usually did when we built the traditional MDM Golden Record Hub, the first step was the data cleansing. We had to cleanse the data. We had to make sure that our data is not duplicated, the data are consistent, and so on and so forth. After that, the next step would be to match the data, to try and relate the data that belongs to same like entity. For example, a customer. It can be a product or a citizen, a patient, whatever. But let's talk about the customers specifically here, just to simplify that. So we were, by doing matching, we wanted to relate the data from the different data repositories to a single business entity, to a single customer, like what are the billion transactions for this customer? What are the complaints? What is his latest tweets, maybe? So the data sources could be inside of our organization or outside. Matching step of MDM is very important. And also at this moment, we could apply different logic for matches, right? If we have some unique ID for the customer, we are lucky. If we're not, we can use the address, the telephone number, the email address, the name, and stuff like that to define if there is a match or not. And also we can use the fuzzy logic matching algorithms for that, because not always, for example, you can match the address information one-to-one. I will also show you later how you can build a fuzzy logic in comparison with Denodo. The next step would be to merge the data related to a certain customer coming from all data sources. And that's what we did actually. We defined the kind of survivalship rules, right? If we have for example, we have the new CRM and the old CRM, and the customer information is sitting in both, and we get in the two addresses for the same customer, but they're different. What to do then? Then we need to define which one is actually going to survive, maybe based on the entry date, maybe based on some other rules. So, and the final step for our MDM projects would be to utilize this data for reporting, for 360 portals, for the real-time applications, for some service desk, stuff like that. Again, what we did it physically. We were moving data with ETL or from the source system to the kind of a staging area. We were cleansing down with the data quality tools. Then we were using master data management tools to match, merge, and relate the data. Relating the data is another kind of an interesting topic here, because advanced MDM platforms, they not only bringing you the data about a single customer, but they can also bring you the kind of the relationships, for example, the household. Build you the view who is living in the same house with certain customers, like who's his wife, who are the kids, what is the company he works for. And doing this kind of a household analysis, you can get much deeper insights into the customer financial status, for example, or some other aspects of his life. And based on all this data, you can also run some more or less complex analytical algorithms, like you can calculate the churn rate, the probability of churn, for example, if the customer is happy or not. You can run the segmentation. You can understand what would be the next best offer for the customer. All those algorithms they do require all this data to be cleansed, matched, merged, and related. What we are doing is virtual data fabric, same thing, but all virtual, following the registry master data management framework. So there are three classical styles of MDM that we can talk about. The golden record hub, like a central, the MDM based on the physical data movement approach. So we connect to data sources, extract the data, cleanse them physically, move them to the golden record hub model, and then we utilize them. Centralized MDM is following a little bit different approach. If you are lucky enough, if your organization is not so big and you can afford such a technique, this can be a good solution, but really very few customers I saw that were able to implement that. So the idea is to have the one single centralized entry point for all your data about the customer. So no data entered directly to CRM, no data entered directly to some other systems about the customer. They all entered in the single place, and then they are replicated to the other data sources and also provided for consumption. Referential or registry style MDM, this is something what we do using the virtual data fabric approach. We are not physically moving the data. We are cleansing, matching, merging, and relating those data right on fly, right in the memory of our data virtualization platform, and providing them for consumption in real times. What are the benefits of this approach? First of all, when you are moving data physically to your MDM golden record hub, you are doing that with some frequency, maybe once a day, maybe even once a week. So your data there, by default, they're not real-time data. They have some delay. And in the modern world, you really want to know what was if the customer filed a complaint 5 minutes ago about a certain product or a certain service of your company. You really want to know that now, not tomorrow. We are not doing any data replication. Data replication, to my opinion, and there is a kind of general agreement among the data professionals here, that the more you replicate your data, the more risk you're taking. First of all, you're taking the risk of data inconsistency. If a certain ETL job failed at some point, you can end up with the situation when different units in the organization or different people have a different view of the same data sitting in your core data warehouse model, for example. That can lead to a big business mistakes. Also, the more copies of your data you create, the more security risk you are taking. Your data can be exposed to the people who should not have access to those data. The more copies you create, the more your data exposed to this kind of security risk, right? We can say that MDM projects that are implemented following the registry style, they're implemented from 5 to 7 times faster than the traditional approach. This is a kind of a proven figure from the market, right? So all those benefits of registry styles of MDM, they really can be only achieved when you utilize the proper foundation for that, and the foundation in the form of a virtual data fabric. All right, now I would like to switch to the demo and show you how I built a Customer 360 project based on the data sitting in 4 different repositories: cloud, Salesforce, on-prem, CRM, the complaint management system that are using Microsoft SQL Server database, as well as some transactional billing data that I have stored in my Hadoop appliance in my big data lake. Rahil, if I switch now to my screen to show the demo, please.
Yes, you can take control, Alexei.
Yes, I'm here. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So this is the Denodo Design Studio development tool, basically the place where all the magic happens. The developers are using this tool to build those virtual views that are basically combining and transforming the data coming from the different data sources. The first step that I'm doing always with any project with Virtual Data Fabric, the first step would be to connect to the data. As you can see, I have 4 data sources for my project. I have a cloud Salesforce, has the connection that I can utilize. You see, it's a cloud application that contains some data about my customers. I have my traditional data warehouse based on Oracle technology. Maybe this is Exadata, and you can see that I'm defining the connection over JDBC. Very straightforward. This is something that we always do, right, when we are connecting to data sources. Also, I'm connected to my Microsoft SQL Server database, as well as to my Hadoop cluster, and I can show you what kind of data I have. This is my Hadoop. I have some data here. Okay, forgot the plus. Okay, nevertheless, I have some data in Oracle database, like the customer data in this kind of format. I have the data from in my SQL Server, in my complaint management system. But all those data now, after I created the connection to them, I'm starting to create so-called base virtual views. Base view is the one-to-one representation of the physical data from the data source. What we are doing here, we are building the first layer of abstraction, just bringing the data into the Denodo platform, onboarding them. At the same time, we are unifying the data types, we are unifying the fill and loop of our data. So let me show you how I build this base views layer. Basically, what you do, you open your data source, you click the Create Base View button, and you can see all the data structure that you have inside the data source. This is my Cloudera virtual machine where I have some data sitting here, and as you can see, there are some transactions here. So I can pick and choose this table, and once I click Create Selected, I'm going to get this base view. So that's what I did for the data I need. Data about the customers sitting in 4 different repositories. So I virtualized, first of all, my customer data coming from Salesforce in real time. And at every single step of the, building your virtual data views, you can click on the Execute button and preview the data coming from the Salesforce. Okay, where's my data? Yeah, here we go. So this is kind of the first layer of data abstraction. So what I'm doing next, I'm starting combining the data coming from different sources to build more complex derived views that I want to utilize in my customer 360 journey. For example, I can sorry, I'm going to take the next one. I can combine the data by running all the available mathematical operations that we can do on the data, like for example joining 2 data sets, or you can apply union, you can apply intersection, plus and minus. So you start playing with those data, combining them in this or that way. What I'm doing here, basically, I'm joining the data coming from 2 data sources, and one of the data source is sitting in cloud, it's like a Salesforce, and another one is in my Oracle data warehouse. And to get the combined view of the customers in my cloud CRM and in my local data warehouse, I'm just joining those two data sets, and I'm doing the full outer join. I mean, I'm taking all the data from both data sets, and then if some certain fields are missing, I'm trying to understand which one is going to survive. So basically, I'm applying pretty simple operations here, like okay, this one. So naturally, I'm combining the data coming from Salesforce and Oracle into kind of a single data view. Let me move to the next steps. So basically, I prepare the data this way from customer, coming from different repositories. Also, I got the data from my billing transactions from Cloudera, and I got the data from my complaints database that I have in my MS SQL. Then what I want to do next, I want to build a cleansing rules for that. For example, if my data have some missing information, like the customer country is not standardized, or I have some duplication in my database, you can utilize Virtual Data Fabric to build those cleansing rules. In this case, what I'm doing here, I'm basically relating my customer data with the country dictionary, and I'm looking for the proper standardized country name. Whenever the country name of the customer is like if you take a look here, for example, you can see that some data, some information about the country is written like United States, and other data, the USA can be like some other abbreviation. So basically, what I'm doing here, I'm doing this very simple cleansing. I'm standardizing the country name just for the sake of this demo. I'm not going to overcomplicate it, but I can mention you that with Virtual Data Fabric, you can build a very complex and sophisticated data cleansing rules. So what I'm getting after that, I'm getting my country names all like similar, and I'm going to the next steps. I'm combining, bringing in the data from the complaints and from transactions also to the single view, relating them to my customer, utilizing also the comparison based on the unique IDs and based on the names and the address information. My next step would be to find out the household here, and what I'm doing for that, I'm applying the fuzzy logic to compare these customer data sets to itself. So naturally, I'm finding people who live in at the same address, and here I can show you how I'm running my fuzzy logic with Denodo, and this okay. Denodo has the fuzzy logic functions like a similarity function, and the similarity can be based on a different algorithms like a zero distance or Levenstein distance, for example. Some of algorithms works better for some data, for certain kind of data. For the address information, I'm using this TF-IDF algorithm. Also, it can be like bigram or 3-gram comparison algorithms. Natural data quality and fuzzy match is a kind of a topic for the separate webinar. I'm not gonna go very deep here. But again, if you take a look at that, so I built just a handful of data views, and finally I'm getting my data mastered. Data coming from different data sources. I have the data about the customers. In the unified, combined, merged form. Let me show you how does it look like. Denodo is a bit slow today. Here you go. So I have the master ID for customer. I have the names, the address. I have all the like billing and mailing information here, the phone number, and my cleansed country name, stuff like that. I have my complaints coming from, as you probably remember, from Microsoft SQL, also already related to certain customer. Here you go. So there is a first name, the last name, and the complaints with the description coming here. Same I have for my transactions, and same I have for my household analysis here. Now, the next step for me would be to visualize all this data and represent them in a way of the Customer 360 dashboards. Before showing you that final step, I would like to also show you the Denodo data catalog tool that you can use to manage the metadata. It's, as you can see, it's like a Google-like search interface. You can search for any kind of data assets that you have in your virtual data fabric. For example, if I'm searching for marketing, I can get all data assets related to marketing anyhow that have a tag or have a name or have a field inside named marketing. Denodo version 8 applies a very sophisticated artificial intelligently enabled algorithms also to tag the data and to give you the suggestion of what would be the next data set that you can use, for example, for your projects. But you can also just browse the folders. Everything that was created inside of the Virtual Data Fabric platform can be viewed here. And if you take a look at my final master views that I created here, if you can just open that and just double click, you can see all the fields. You can put the tags here. You can issue different queries to that data set, but also interesting functionalities, lineage. This is how my final master data built. As you can see, data coming from data warehouse, from Salesforce, from the service tickets from my complaint database. You can see the data joined, united, and combined finally to this master view of the customer complaint. And if you're interested how a certain field came to the final data view, final data representation, you can just click on the field and it shows you how the data about the mobile phone coming here, for example, or data about a certain complaint coming from completely different data set. So data catalog is a very powerful tool, and I'm just for the sake of the time, again, I'm not gonna go into the deep details here. What I wanna show you now, how to utilize the data that those virtual data views that we have built inside of the Denodo platform. There are several ways. All those data views are available in the data catalog by default. Also, all those data views, they're available over standard like a SQL-like interfaces, like a JDBC or ODBC. You can, any tool, any application, any BI tool or analytical tool or your data science tool like a notebook can connect to Denodo and consider Denodo as the database. It will be a virtual database, but still you can use a normal like an ANSI SQL language to query the data from all those data views. Also, you can expose the same data as the web service and query them using the web service calls through the API interface. I will show you how I'm utilizing and visualizing this data about the customer complaints, household transactions. Let me go to the screen. I built a simple, but hopefully nicely looking dashboards to visualize this data. I have the customer name here. For example, the customer is calling to my call center, and based on his phone number, I can immediately, in real time, bring in all this data from different data sources. I can apply some scoring algorithms. I can use some artificial intelligence models here as well to For example, to calculate the customer loyalty or calculate the customer churn probability, or calculate his like segmentation, what kind of segment he's fallen into, his stuff like that. Okay, and you can naturally navigate here. You can see his household. Well, this is the result of basically fuzzy matching. As you can see, the address information for all those people, that's a little bit different. If you apply the exact match here, if you put like just a equation sign between these two address lines, it's not going to work. They're not equal. But applying the fuzzy match, you can see the probability of similarity of these two addresses, and they can say, okay, everything that is higher, 85%, it's probably it's the same household. I can rely on that. That's all these people are living in the same house. And you can do like a drilling down. You can see. You can also build some like more sophisticated analytical, algorithms. You can decide that this lady is basically the daughter of Bill Gates, or this lady is his wife. Everything is possible. What is the? I'll just show you one trick. As you can see, there are like latest transactions, latest payments of this lady, and also the latest complaints that she filed into our system. What if I go here and I add a new complaint here? Let me make it like that. Of course, it's gonna, in the real life, it's done through the like some proper user interface, right? I'm just inserting the data directly into the database, and let me add the new record here. And if I add the new record into my complaint table, as you can see, it's immediately displayed here as the new record. So my customer 360 built on the virtual data fabric on the registry approach is the real-time fast implementation of the very complex mathematical algorithms that previously we had to spend the years and the millions of dollars to implement it in a physical way. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we need to kind of wrap up for the Q&A session now. I hope you like the presentation. I hope you like the demo. The key takeaways from that: Virtual Data Fabric provides you the data that are always agile, always secure, always coming in real time. This is the modern requirement for the data. We cannot afford anymore using the data in a like a way of a T-1. It's not needed by the business anymore. They need the data now. All the data, secure data, clean data. This is the key takeaway of that. And I hope you like the idea. You got the kind of a deep understanding what is the kind of idea is actually behind virtual data fabric, and how we can apply that for most of the traditional and advanced data management use cases. If we click next, we'll probably get to okay. Denodo is considered to be a leader by all the like analytical big analytical companies like Gartner and Forrester. One thing to remember here, that basically Gartner, for example, is comparing apples to pears or even apples to watermelons. We are in the data integration quadrant here, but we are doing the data integration in completely different style than, for example, Talent or Informatica does. Denodo is the unquestioned leader and in the data virtualization and virtual data fabric space. So this is what I can say about this slide. So let's go next. And
all right,
now over to you, Rahil.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Alexei. Thank you so much. That was a great presentation and demo, and I'm sure that the audience is now more educated or more empowered on how data virtualization can be used to achieve a single view of a customer and many more use cases that we have seen. So I wanted to, next thing I wanted to talk about was the exclusive offer that we have. So Edgematics, in conjunction with Denodo, is offering this unique hands-on workshop with the Denodo platform. If you're interested to explore data virtualization firsthand, then make sure that you register it It's a great opportunity to engage with Denodo experts and do an end-to-end session, and also get an opportunity to certify yourself with that knowledge that you'll acquire in the workshop. So this is marked for Thursday, 15th of October, 3-hour session, 10 to 1 p.m. GST. And it's a 3-hour investment, I should say, to learn the most modern data platform. Now you will see the link to register this workshop in the chat window as we speak. So make sure that you register today, as we do have limited seats. Let's quickly get to Q&A session at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the questions that we have sent and then see if we can answer those questions that we are not able to answer because of time constraint. Rest assured that we will be sending responses to you via email. All right. So let's kick off with some of the questions that have come in. Alexei, the first question is, can Denodo connect to real-time data like Kafka?
Yes, absolutely. That's the whole idea about the virtual data fabric, that we want to get the data coming in real time and then analyze them in real time as well. We can connect, we can easily connect to Kafka topics in the different ways, some kind of in a way of that getting the all like content of Kafka topic, or just the new lines from there, and process this data naturally same way as we did for Oracle, MS SQL, or Hadoop. We are virtualizing them and abstracting them same way in the form of a kind of a table. Then you can do the joins, the unions, you can do intersection, you can do filtering, you can do whatever aggregation, all the possible functions from Kafka data, combined with the static data as well.
Got it. Thanks, Alexei. I hope that answers the question. The next one is an interesting one. I was actually waiting for this. So how does your solution differ from MDM tools like Informatica or Talent? It's always good to get a competition question. So Alexei, take it away.
Okay. Well, basically, we spoke about that during the webinar, right? What does this guys do? Well, I perfectly know how Informatica MDM works, for example, because I worked for 10 years for Informatica specifically. Like MDM was one of my beloved product, right? Because it's really sophisticated, really like a lot of science there to apply. What those products do? They follow the traditional approach. They onboard the data, moving them to the staging area on some sort of database sitting next to the Golden Record Hub. Then they want to apply data cleansing algorithms that usually done by the data quality tool. Then MDM tool starts working on this data, doing the matching, merging, relating data to each other, and you can build the survivalship rules inside of the tool, and then you finally physically move the data to the Golden Record Hub, which is nothing else but the database with the certain model where you store the data. This process, first of all, pretty long to implement. I've seen many MDM projects that failed actually, just because the people who are implementing them, they didn't have enough skills, they didn't have enough time for that. The MDM products, if you take a look at the price list, that we are talking about the millions of dollars immediately. Any MDM, a Golden Record Hub like a style vendor will give you the really expensive kind of a price tag for that. What we do not move the data. We do all those steps, but virtually. We cleanse the data virtually, we relate them virtually, we combine them virtually, match and merge virtually. And then the data can be represented in any kind of ABI tool or any kind of a portal style application. So that's the main difference. We are doing the same, but we are basing our solution on different foundation, on the foundation of the virtual data fabric.
Got it. Got it. That answers the question. Thanks, Alexei. So the next one is, we need to migrate the customer data from on-prem to cloud CRM. Can Denodo solution help?
Yes, absolutely. And that's not only about the customer data, not only about the CRM data. This is a pretty typical use case for Denodo to cloud migration. What we can do here, you can connect your legacy application or some system that you want to decommission on, you want to do the lift and shift to the cloud. You can connect that to the Denodo platform, virtualize data from there. Also, you can connect your new modern plastic fantastic cloud application to Denodo platform, and you can build the combined views. And then whenever you move the data from on-prem to the cloud, or from one cloud to another cloud, or vice versa, your representation of the data to the end user, for the consumers, will not change. You are decoupling the data. You are building a kind of a soft coupling architecture. You can move the data. You can change the physical location, but the virtual representation of the data won't change for the consumers. So that's the main benefit of using the virtual data fabric for any kind of migration process. Well, same can be applied for example, the archiving framework, right? You can easily cut the cold data from your transactional tables from any application, move them to the cheaper storage, and you can build a virtual layer on top of the two, combining those data and representing them as a single kind of a data repository in a virtual way. Same technique applies here.
Got it. Thanks, Alexei. The next question is, does Edgematics have Denodo competency and subject matter experts in banking? What are the common use cases for data virtualization? So I'll take this one. I'm guessing that this question is coming from a bank. So there are two parts. The first part, yes, Edgematics has trained Denodo consultants on board and also subject matter experts, not just in banking, but most of the key verticals such as telco, retail, automotive, and of course, banking. So we do have the required skills. In fact, as we speak, we are implementing a large customer 360 project at a large bank in the UAE, and very happy to discuss this in detail on a one-to-one basis. So yeah, just reach out to us and we're happy to share what we are doing there. The second part of the question regarding common use cases, I think Alexei has already explained this, but let me take another angle to this. So I think any use case requiring access to disparate data or real-time information or dynamic data requirements, and I believe the key differentiator would be the rapid deployment time. So faster time to implement, faster time to value. This is where Denodo plays a role. So some of the use cases would be agile BI and reporting, data for single view of customer, which we have spoken at length today, logical data services, logical data warehouses, web and cloud integration. Yeah, I mean, these are the projects where data virtualization can replace or add value to traditional approaches. And there are well-proven use cases around these that we talked about. Alexei, you want to add something or that
no.
answers it?
No. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think it does.
Okay. Cool. Let me quickly take a couple of more questions. So the next one would be, can I use other BI tools to connect to Denodo?
Yeah, absolutely. Any tool can connect to Denodo, not only BI tool, but also the analytical tools, data science tools. We have, by the way, Denodo comes with the special like a built Denodo Zeppelin notebook that you can use for your data scientific experiments, and you can connect. It already comes with the predefined connectivity to the Denodo platform. Any tool, any application can access Denodo over JDBC, ODBC, API, OData, or GeoJSON interfaces, and whatever available can be exposed over those. And it can be any BI tool naturally.
Perfect. All right, so we'll just take one last question. And this is around the licensing policy. So what is Denodo's licensing policy, Alexei?
Probably, I worked for several software vendors in my life. Right, I've never seen this simpler approach for the licensing. Denodo is only licensing the CPU cores on the application server that runs Denodo. We don't license the users, the data volumes, the number of data sources, nothing like that. We don't have any options or additions, which is a usual story with the many vendors when the people are buying the base functionality and then they start upselling the options like real-time, advanced option, this option or that option, the connector or this connector. We don't have anything like that. A customer is buying Denodo one piece. We only base our calculation on the number of the CPU cores, and the customer is getting all the functionality, including the data catalog, including Denodo Zeppelin, data migration tool, information lifecycle management tool for Denodo, for moving your data from dev to prod. All the functionality that we developed is included, as well as two weeks of our professional services that will be used to install and configure the platform for you. It's also included into the license.
Yeah, absolutely. The DPaaS service. So I cannot agree. Yeah, I cannot agree enough. In my 25 years of career in data management, selling data management products, I think this is the simplest licensing model that I've come across, and the maximum value to the customer. So I think that's all the time that we have. We have now come to the end of today's session, and I would want to thank all the attendees who are attending this webinar. Thank you, Alexei, for the great presentation and demo. We hope that you all found this session valuable, and we look forward to connecting you soon in our upcoming webinars as part of the webinar series. Enjoy your rest of the day, and thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Rahil. Thank you, everybody. Bye.